Oh, boy. And so the woman must follow that man. And the reason is because a woman has a different path. The man must inseminate, and then she is the birthing womb, the doorway with which new generations, new children, new humans come into being. Her job is to birth those generations, to raise those generations. I want to talk about being a woman here for a second. The maiden, the mother, and the crone. These are the levels of womanhood. The maiden, the beautiful, free, youthful maiden. The mother who prioritizes the children, not her career, not her infatuation with some guy, not dating, not anything else, who prioritizes the children, and not the children just like giving into every need that they have. No, but prioritizes the health and the raising of minds and hearts of the children with wisdom. And that's hard. That's hard to do. To get out of your own way, to not be all about you and your needs, to sacrifice yourself for the children. And most women are not doing that. And that is the mother. And it takes serious work to be a good mother. You don't just get born with it. You're born, the world pushes you towards ego, and to actually be a good mother is hard. And the crone is the wisdom after having gone through all of it. And just because you're old doesn't make you a crone. Doesn't make you a crone. And just because you have kids doesn't make you a mother. Ooh. And our society is stuck in maidenhood. Perpetual maidenhood. I want to be a maiden at 40. I want to be a maiden with 4 kids. I want to be a maiden and I'm 70 or 80. You see some of these supermodels complaining that they're not getting looks from men the way they ought to be getting looks. They're trying to be a maiden and they're 70 years old. What the hell, man? So just because you have kids doesn't make you a good mother. Just because you're old doesn't make you a crone. This actually takes real spiritual work from the woman's side. She cannot just be good looking and cute and automatically have wisdom. It takes cultivation and work, and the work of birthing a child and focusing on it. You need to be focused on doing it well. Just because you're a father doesn't make you a good father. And just because you're birthing a child or being a mother doesn't make you a good one that is developed in wisdom. And so this is the woman's work. This is the woman's work to develop themselves and to be a good mother and to excel at that. By part of that is choosing a man that is following God in a good way, in a healthy way. And if she hasn't chosen if she's chosen a man that's following egotism, that's following something else, or protesting morally virtue signaling that he's following God, when the truth is he's following some other master. And so if she's not good at choosing this man and wise with her choice, then she will be following some other doctrine, and that will lead her where that other doctrine leads. And so in the Bible, it says God is the ultimate. Man must follow God, and woman must follow man. And part of that is because a man must protect the woman against the elements of nature. He's responsible for fending off predators. He's responsible for fending off the elements through a house building. He's responsible for fending off charlatans, frauds, fakes, and evil men He's responsible for fending these things off. And even though we live in a society where government, which here's the secret, is that a lot of women have replaced the only leadership that's allowed in their lives is government. That's the only leadership that they allow. And even then, maybe not all the time, but the woman has so much replaced leadership in their lives with government. Because government's responsible for the police force. Government is responsible for a lot of these things, for deciding who's a leader and who's not. And corporations have also been put in this place. So a woman will follow her boss to the end of the earth. But it is natural for a woman to outsource the protection principles of defending against life. Because she's not as strong as a man. She's not as capable as a man, especially when she's with child. It makes all these things that much more difficult. And so she is wired to be attracted to a man that can fulfill these responsibilities. And even though we have gotten to a point in civilization where all this is taken care of and we can outsource all these principles, she still biologically, innately, intuitively is drawn to these characteristics. It's part of what makes her sexually drawn. And we're not going to erase that, even though we have a police force, even though we have voting rights. We're not going to erase that primal draw. That's part of who we are. Just as a man's nature is to be primally drawn to a woman that can bear a child and follow his leadership. He's drawn to those things. We're not going to erase these draws that we have. So there's God, the man must follow God, and the woman must follow the man. And this, even her path is narrow through the eye of a needle to follow a man's leadership to such a degree, to choose a man wisely. This is so narrow. There are so many forces that are trying to get women to choose this man or choose that man, both coming from men, from women, from society, from culture, from government, from every kind of facet, from religion, from priests. Every kind of facet is trying to draw them this way and that way. And it can be tough to sift through the wilderness, the minutia of all that's telling them to go this way or that way. And it takes wisdom to guide a woman, whether through her own wisdom or through her family's collective wisdom, through a wisdom from an older woman, a crone, the wisdom from an older man, from a grandfather, from a father, from a patriarch, from a leader. It's wisdom needs to guide this process, and getting it right, choosing the right man for that woman, the right man to lead that woman that's following God in a righteous and moral way, is like threading the eye of a needle. It's very challenging, it's very hard, and it needs to be guided with wisdom. And there are so many forces that seek to betray that for their own personal gain, so they again can dominate that woman, control that woman, can get one over on that woman. And so this is a hard task. And then once she has chosen that man, to stay committed to his leadership, that is challenging. That is the spiritual quest of a woman, is to do that, to be able to follow that man's leadership. But she has to have chosen the right man, because if she didn't choose the right man, then staying consistent to that man's leadership is going to lead her to whatever that man follows. Truthfully, not what he protests and virtue signals that he's following, but what he actually follows. And that's where she'll go. And it is her natural draw to want to follow that man. But to stay consistent to that when it's hard, when the baby's crying and he says, this is what we have to do. That's hard. When she's stressed out after a long day of taking care of the kids and the man says, this is what we must do. To put yourself aside And to really follow that, that is threading the eye of a needle. That is very challenging, and it takes wisdom to do that. It takes following a spiritual intuition and guidance to do that. And the reason that the man is the leader is because he is the defender against all these worldly things. And he understands the reality of that. She is sheltered from that so that she may focus on children and the home and the following of the man. And this is the right order. This is the leadership that we need. This is the leadership that has built the entirety of the world and all the wonderful things that we have in it. And this leadership is the primary leadership that has also been corrupted in so many ways, so that we have all the folly that we have in the world to this day. And there is a rebellion against that leadership because of all the damage that is caused. It is a throwing a baby out with the bathwater, and it is a lack of wisdom. It is a lack of understanding the depth and following that eye of a needle. And that is not easy to do. So it's understandable that we're not quite there. But it is so important. And true leadership is a beautiful thing. And we have to learn to follow God again. And not God to some alternative means where it's really about manipulation and dominance and egoism, but to really follow Creator God, eternal being that we truly are. The essence of this world comes out of God. We come out of God. And that is the ultimate leadership. When we die, it's not going to be our government or our sisters or our brothers or our priest that's going there with us. It's going to be us, our soul, and God, and that's it. And that is the ultimate. That is what we are. That is what we come from. And to find that leadership again, to find it inside of our hearts, inside of our souls, and to carry on with it. That's the real task at hand. And it takes courage. And it takes faith. And it takes love. And it takes stoicism. And it takes empathy. It takes heart. And that's not easy. And this society, in this way, in this day and age, we choose the easy a lot. It's okay. It's understandable. But that hard, good thing in this world, it makes you a man, makes you a woman, makes you beholden to your true nature of where you come from, that you are God, that God, eternal being, is what we come from and what we go back to. And it makes you a beholder of our birthright, of who we truly are. And it takes courage to do that. And the whole world is lacking courage right now. The whole world is lacking wisdom right now. Because we're focused on shortcomings, focused on getting 10 cents now instead of 10 million 10 or 20 or 30 or 40 years from now. And we lost focus. We got focused on the short-term gains instead of the long-term consequences. And we live so much controlled by our urges instead of focused on the bigger picture. And that's what's lacking in this world, is a focus on the bigger picture. It's a beautiful thing. This world, the bigger picture, and the man and the woman and God, and coming together in that way. And there's a lack of wanting to follow that leadership.